I am here with an amazing panel of women. Anita Lo, the chef and owner of this amazing restaurant, Anissa. Elizabeth Falkner, chef and the president of the Women Chefs Restaurateurs, which we're discussing today. And Carla Hall, chef and co-host of The Chew. Thank you so much for all being here.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
So today we're going to talk about women in food because you're all a part of WCR, Women Chefs and Restaurateurs. And I guess I just want to start with this idea of what is the balance between talking about women in food while also not having the label of woman chef, because like you're just chefs. So how do you balance that?
Well, I think that's it's actually an interesting conversation that I feel like I've been talking about a lot lately.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the term women chef is secondary to chef. Some people do. Some people think I just want to be known as a chef, not a great female chef. But to me, like, great female chefs is sort of an ultimate because everybody's trying to always cook like their mother or their grandmother taught them how to cook. You know, or what they have so much. People have so much memory off of that kind of love and warmth from cooking, and which has typically been a woman. So you know, I'm not saying that it doesn't come sometimes from the dad that likes to grill or what the sort of stereotypes. But,
no disrespect to dads.
But I think that that being a great female chef is sort of an ultimate.
I think you're right, because I think in so many cultures, I mean, take India, where the women are definitely in the home kitchen and the men are in the professional kitchen, and it doesn't seem to translate. So you don't really have that many women in professional kitchens. So here you have the first chef of your family, the woman, where they get all of their food memories and all the things that they're bringing to the professional kitchen, and the woman is kind of left out. So at one point, do you kind of honor the two coming together, which is kind of what you're saying, you know?
Right.
But you don't want to just be known as a female chef, like you got to pass, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there is something negative about it. I definitely, I love the positive spin on it, but I think so often journalists and people from the media want to focus on that part of you.
Right.
And it does set you apart in that, but there's a double-edged sword for that.
And is it important to kind of reclaim it, like what you're talking about with WCR, where it's like, okay, people want to talk about it, but let's talk about it as being a positive, not like, wow, you succeeded and you're a woman.
Exactly,
like, is it
spite
something?
of.
Yeah, is it something to
Well,
talk about and sort of reclaim it? Like, yes, I am.
I think it's evolving because
Damn it.
well, kind of, yeah, because you know, this WCR was started by 8 women, you know, almost 25 years ago, when very specifically because women were not getting the attention that there were all these superstars working in these great kitchens in New York and you know, New Orleans and California, and they just weren't getting the recognition, or the media wasn't paying so much attention to them. And they said, well, this is crazy. We need to obviously have our own club.
Right.
And I felt like we actually do really need this because we're still kind of getting the same media question kicked around constantly of like, what is it? Why are there not so many women in the kitchen? What, you know, what's it like to be a female in the kitchen? It's like you just get tired of
that one you get tired of answering.
Or you're like, I don't know, what's it like to be a man? And like, who cares?
Right, and I'm always like, it's a hard job for anybody. So whether you're male or female, it just is it's challenging work, and it requires a lot of time and stamina, really.
And I mean, I know for you have a lot of women in your kitchen. Is it important to have organizations like this to kind of remind people, like, hire your sous chefs, hire women, be a mentor, because men certainly have mentors. So is it important to you in your restaurant, or is it just like, I find the best person?
Well, I do find the best person. I don't hire by gender, but at the same time, yes, I think it's. I don't think we're going to get anywhere if we're not out there organizing, sharing ideas, and supporting one another.
Because there are a lot of young boys who, of course, they see all of these celebrity chefs and they want to be chefs. You're seeing more kids, more girls wanting to be a chef, and I think taking the gender role out. Because I just want to be a really good cook. And I think the more that they see both women and men, you stop seeing female chefs and male chefs. You just see that you want to be a chef. And I think that's what's important.
Do you think it's also important to showcase the different careers across food? Because I think
so.
you know, the three of you have such disparate careers, and you would say, okay, you're all women chefs, but you have such different career paths. Is it important to also show, like, there's different ways to do this? If you love food, if you love restaurants, like, it can be whatever you want it to be?
I believe that women are all over this industry. And so when people throw these statistics out there that say there's only this very small percentage of people that are actually executive chefs, I get kind of irritated because I'm like, well, but what about, like, we have this production line conversation going on with several people that run big companies. So like Nell Newman from Newman's Own Organics,
Right.
Carrie Heffernan, who is the executive chef for Adele Sausage Company. We have Ariane Dogan, completely
Right.
different kind of company,
Right,
but
D'Artagnan,
distributing amazing meats and game. And we've got the global chef for Nestle Miners, which is a huge job. So these people make big decisions.
What is the hope that like you'll see 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Is it more women in restaurant kitchens? Is it just more women in food? Like what is the hope? Like when you are participating in conferences like this, what are you hoping to gain? Is it the dialogue? What's the change?
I hope it equals. I think more women in restaurants is very important. I think there's more women. I would like to see more women doing fine dining. I think a lot of women are more relegated to the more homestyle cuisine. I think, I think there's traditionally been more women in catering than in restaurants.
Catering and hotels. I mean, a lot of women in hotels and catering.
So I think it just needs
baking.
to even out. I mean, women just need more access.
Yeah.
And do you think that's it? Like we think in most fine dining restaurants that there is a bias, and is there a hope to change that, or do you think it just, like, what do you think happens there?
I know, or do you think it's because of just family life and, because I think that's the balance too. Because how do you balance, if you want a family, you want to have kids, how do you balance? I mean, very few women have done it successfully, so how do you balance that out with the hours and the demands of working in a kitchen and then keeping your family together?
Yeah, I mean, those are really good questions, because I think what happens is people do want to have their family and they decide not to take a less riskier,
Right.
But men
endeavor.
have families all the time and still.
But they have the woman supporting the
exactly.
or
So that
their
needs
partner.
to even out.
I'm saying, exactly.
That needs to even out as well. I think
right.
there needs to be people have to stop raising their kids into these gender norms.
That's it.
In like a
It's a cultural issue.
It's a cultural
It's a
issue.
cultural
Exactly.
issue.
Exactly.
And also to just say, I can start this way and I'll make it, like you just figure out how to make it work instead of, starting your career and saying, well, I can't do fine dining because.
Right, exactly. My husband said for years that he wouldn't mind staying at home, being a house husband. Sorry, Matthew.
I love that.
You said it.
I love it.
You're in trouble now.
house husband too.
or he's like, I'll stay. Yeah, I like a house husband.
No, you're right. That's a different thing. A houseboy is something totally different.
For you in this restaurant, is it harder to sort of convince people to take on the lifestyle, or the type of people that are applying are just like in it to win it anyway?
It's been hard to find, women. I've lost a lot of women to babies, I think.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to go the next step to be the chef,
Yeah.
or to go into the management part.
And is there a
it's unfortunate.
solution of saying, okay, you can work less, or do you think there's ways to combat that? Because I think it's always going to be an issue, but are there ways where you could say, okay, let me find 2 great women and have them split it, or are there ways to do it?
I think that our culture, our food culture, is changing quite rapidly right now, in that we're kind of a specific generation, but there's a lot of younger cooks. And labor laws are changing.
Yeah.
Technology is changing so much in kitchen equipment, and then this sort of model of building a restaurant and how that plays out, I think, is just our resources. All that stuff coming together is forcing people, men and women, to come up with totally different restaurant concepts.
It shouldn't divide along gender lines, and I think that's it's just a cultural issue.
I think that's it. I think that and we've been talking about it, when the numbers level out, you don't necessarily have that gender role. I think because there's enough of both. But I think I want to talk about just the female energy, because both men and women have this female nurturing energy, and men can have it just like women can have it. And I think that if I wanted to see something change, and you talk about the culture of the kitchen changing, and not necessarily the hours, but maybe when you think about an old guard French kitchen, it was really hard, and it seemed like, you know, people were getting beat up in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I would honestly like that to change, where that female energy takes over, where it's more nurturing. You still have the long hours, you're still doing all of that, you're still, you know, nurturing people, but you're mentoring them in a more gentle way, so that it's really a quality of life and not beating somebody over the head. And I call that female energy. It doesn't necessarily have to come from a woman. It can come from a man, but that kind of energy where you feel taken care of. So you do want to work the hours, and you know, and it's not like.
And I think that our restaurant world has evolved with
Right.
that kind of energy. I think there have been so many strong female chef leaders that have
Right.
Turned it
really
around.
changed kitchens around, so that
Yes.
they're not getting plates thrown at people.
Right,
and,
exactly.
you know,
And I
they're
tend to
such
hire
lovely
people like
things.
that.
Yeah.
although I've known
Yeah.
women to throw plates too.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying. It can be as a woman with male energy. It's like,
Right.
you know, what's up? You know,
Yeah,
get up
yeah.
in your face.
What are your favorite restaurants right now that you're going to that you think like if we're gonna plug women, like let's plug their businesses. Like what are you going to that you're like, I'm obsessed with this restaurant, or I'm obsessed with this product or this bakery?
I'm pretty obsessed with Dirt Candy.
Yeah.
The new Dirt Candy.
You know, you were saying that, and I love that. Speaking of food, but vegetarian food that's really fun and interesting, and just vegetables. Period. April Bloomfield is amazing,
Yeah.
and you know, the Spotted Pig, and you know, it's just kind of badass, and you know, and this one, and yeah.
Yeah, we can all say Anissa.
I know we can all say Lisa. We don't have to be shy.
And also, like, April's chefs at all of her restaurants are females right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Your
like to
chef
go to
de cuisine is
Take
female.
Root. My chef de cuisine is female, and she's killing it.
Cosme, Daniela is obviously doing killer stuff over there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And obviously, if you want to know more about WCR, you can go where?
Womenchefs.org.
There you go, womenchefs.org. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.